Hello, I'm Liam Moggan and I'm delighted to be hosting this episode of the Irish Life Power of Support panel. Now, rather than a full panel, today we're joined by one person, an important person, Jim Aughney, the Race Director. Jim, you're very, very welcome.
Thank you very much, Liam.
Jim, you seem to have been there forever as part of the Dublin Marathon. Tell me how you got involved at first.
Yes, I took over the running of the event in 1997, but preceding all of that, when I joined AIR and came to Dublin to run in the Business Houses Athletic Association at the time, and we had quite a very, very good team, and we were winning prizes, winning all the events really at the time. So I turned to our own crew and said this wasn't fair, we needed to put something back into it. So we organised an AIR 5 mile at the time, and no sooner was the race over than Alex Sweeney, who was chair of the organising committee at the time, said, "Come here, I have a job for you." So from that I took over different aspects of the event. The first thing, because I had a little bit of a technical head, I suppose, the timing and things like that, went from there to course director for 3 years. And then when Alex stepped down in 97, I was handed the football to take it from there. So
the fact that you have an insight into starting it, running it and finishing it, how does that impact in your role as a race director now?
No, it helps quite a lot because, you know, again in 1997 when I took over, I was a member of Civil Service Harriers at the time, and we needed a full new team to take over the marathon, because the BHA was looking after the marathon plus 20 odd other events. So I thought at the time, if we were going to take the marathon and progress the marathon, we needed a group of people to look after it itself. And that's why half of civil service at the time ended up helping out. So we got the tagline, I suppose, run by runners for runners. One of the first choices we had to make at the time, what was very popular, was a relay type event in the marathon. And, you know, Belfast had it and a number of other events. We decided not to go down that road and said, you know, let's give the marathon a few years, give it a good run.
Purity of the distance.
Exactly. And if we can't get the numbers back up, then we'll come back and look at a relay. But what we wanted to do was to try and get the marathon from where it was, and there was under 3,000 in the event in 1997. So,
which appeared a lot of people back then.
It was indeed, for sure, you know. And now every race in the series is bigger than that now, you know. So it's come a long way.
Yeah. Can you describe what happens to keep all those people on board to volunteer at such a high level of technical work?
Well, it's to try get them, I suppose, involved as much as possible in the event and give them an ownership of, you know, a particular task or an area. And you're not coming down and saying, will you do A, B and C? Go to them and ask them how you think we should do this, and, you know, try involve them as much as possible in it. And that's how I suppose it ends up as nearly like a family, for want of a better term, that, you know, you're giving people an input into it rather than going to them and saying this is the way it should be done. And like, you know, there's no one person has the right way of doing all of these things, and it's great. Some of the meetings we have are quite robust and whatever, but at the end of the day, it's very, very good to get all of that feedback from people. And, you know, that's what has helped mould the event to what it is today. And again, listen, the 9 people around the table in the Nor Harriers can come up with any crack idea that they like, but it's the thousands of volunteers that we get from the different running clubs and scout groups and whatever. They're the people that run it. Like, we can have the idea, but they carry it through.
Implementation of it. I suppose the answer you've given, Jim, should be in the textbooks of any leadership, is to, you know, to delegate and give people that power. But you do that extremely well. And, you know, I have joked with you sometimes tongue in cheek that you seem to be doing nothing on the day of the race. You're the calmest man. What preparations are going on in your head and in the weeks leading up to it that makes you look just totally in control of the situation on those days? What do you do?
Well, again, it comes down to the as we call them, the big group meetings we have, where we bring in as many as possible of the senior stewards, and the delegation then of the information that's going from one to another.
When does that start? Like, let's say the marathon now on October the 30th. These bringing in of delegations.
Well, I mean, that started way back in April. Outlining our plans of what we want to do for the year, and the next one is September the 28th. So that's when the next group will be in. But again, outside of all of that, each of the different teams will be meeting themselves, like the course team, the 9 that are there will meet and whatever, and come back in and say, well, listen, we need to do X, Y, and Z and whatever, But it's to have...
So it's regular communication with an extended family of people.
Absolutely, but then when it comes to the day, your absolute trust in your start team and the course team that they're going to do exactly what they said, and that comes with years of working with them, and you just have absolute trust in them. So it's as you say, I have nothing to do then on the day,
Well, it has been done. But another thing I noticed, Jim, that no matter how early I arrive at the start or how long I wait deep into the night when darkness, you're always there. And I'm struck too by the number of runners that would recognise you and express their gratitude and be very emotional. You must have some strong memories of things you spotted at the finishing line. Can you share some of those?
I suppose when the presentation is over, one of my favourite things to do is to actually go in behind the finish line, just before the medal area, where, as you say, the emotion there can be quite...
It's raw.
It is. There's many a story that you've been told and whatever. And to go in and just thank them for turning up and being there. Because again, without their support over the years, we wouldn't be where we are today.
Yeah.
And like any opportunity we get to go out to clubs or charities or whatever, like that's the slide that you start with, the thank you slide to them for coming and supporting us. And that's
sense of gratitude,
the big one. And you go in and shake hands with people and say well done and whatever. A lot of people appreciate that, I think, at the end of it. And,
well, I can see they do, but that requires huge effort and time from yourself to be there. And something you might pick up on too, I see that sense of emotion grows the deeper we go into the race, the 4.5 hour, the 5 hour finishers.
Yeah.
You're still there, but the power of the emotion and support at the end of those can be huge.
Oh yes, listen, the stories you hear behind the finish line are great, and to get like you've people coming up crying, openly crying, because they've got to the finish line. And you can see it, coming up the finishing straight, when people actually see the finish line and the gantry. A lot of them just,
time means nothing.
It's to get to the finish line and the emotion, for whatever reason it may be. And you've people with pictures of relatives on their jersey, and you can kind of figure out what the story is behind that. You have people carrying their parents or ashes, and many different types of stories that really are
local and international.
Yeah, for sure. That are very emotional when you're in there.
I suppose the whole topic here is the power of support, and you really are a physical demonstration of that, because so many people gravitate to you. So well done on behalf of all the runners who have done it. You've done a great job in linking the medal to some historical mention around Dublin and that. Can you tell us a little bit about the medal that the competitors will get this year?
Yeah, this year we wanted to, I suppose, give a knockback to 100 years ago and the formation of the first government. And again, we picked Dublin Castle because that's where the first meeting was. So we like to include that.
They don't run for the medal, but you can see that they value it hugely.
Yeah.
I hope you stay forever, Jim. You have a lovely way about you. But if I was to ask you, what would you miss most if suddenly you weren't the race director of the Irish Life Dublin Marathon?
Well, on the day, there's a number of things you look forward to. One of them being, and again, it's down to yourself. Once you hear your voice at 8 o'clock in the morning, everybody springs to life.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things you look forward to, because then the hard work is done at that stage.
Yeah.
You're an hour out from it. Everybody is either on the way or in the baggage area or whatever. There's not a whole lot we can do at that stage. So that nearly, for me, is nearly the starting gun once we hear your voice. To be able to stand up on the little podium that we use for singing the national anthem and look down at the crowd down to Holles Street, that gives you a great sense of achievement, that you've achieved a small little bit to get those people there, you know. You've put something in to get them that far, and you've contributed something to get them there.
Funny, that's what strikes me as well when I look at the, let's say, 20,000 in the last, their cooperation with you and with the officials, their a complete obedience to the officials, their patience at a time when they're already on high door and the heebie-jeebies, but the sense of elation, trapped, waiting for the gun to go, and then gradually they go, and then the absence of everyone on the streets except you and the team now beginning to make your way down to another job. I suppose it does depict that sport is about motion and emotion. It is a wonderful moment. Yeah.
No, it is indeed, and again, to get them there, and by the time they have walked up to the start line, like the stewards in the front that you say, people obey them or whatever, but they've had a long chat with them and tell them what's going to happen, and when we move away, that isn't the start. You still have a minute to go, even though it might be 30 seconds or whatever the case may be, and just tell them what's going to happen, and then they're much calmer rather than just walking them up and jumping out of their way or whatever, So once the front line are relaxed and you're talking to them, obviously, tell them there's a minute to go and it might be a little bit less than that or whatever the case may be. But it just relaxes them. So, it all helps. But, to keep them relaxed.
Yeah, it's a great sight to see this calmness and knowing they're trapped. We spoke about the general mass of runners, if I call it that, but it also has been an opportunity for many Irish runners to platform themselves and to jump up into potential international class. How important is that for you as race director to assist the potentially good Irish marathon runners?
It was really, really, we were delighted when, way back in 2009, when we had the opportunity to divert some funds from the marathon to, what was we called at the time Marathon Mission, to get a number of promising young athletes, get them in to train them. Mark, who was here earlier on, was part of that programme. And, from 2008, where we had one athlete in Beijing on a B standard, to turn that around by 2012, where we had 5 with the A standard. And then you come to 2016, where we had 10 with the A standard. So it meant a huge amount. But that helped shape the elite field in the event as well. Jerry Kiernan held the record at 2:13:45 for years and years and years, and it was one of my aims to get rid of that. Lazan Kemotai came along and actually did that in 2007 with 2:13:08, I think it was. And then we said, let's be the first event in Ireland to run a sub 2:10 marathon. We got that. Let's be the first event in Ireland to run a sub 2:09 marathon. We got that. But what we saw was we were taking the event away from the Irish. So we stopped, bringing in the top class elites, and took the time bonus out of that and diverted it all into the Irish. And from 2009 onwards, we've see the Irish move right through the field. 2013, Sean and Maria, it was a great year. They won.
Individual winners,
Last year, or in 2019, Stephen Scullion second, Lizzie third. I mean, that was the dream, almost the dream come true.
If we can, as equals.
As equals, and being in the race with a couple of miles to go. And that's what we wanted to achieve with Marathon Missions way back then. As well as getting people to the European Championships, the Olympic Games, and hopefully over time to be competitive.
I think highlighting the profile of the marathon, people know the significance of the distance and the time now. Look, we'll conclude now. I wish you the best of luck in this year's Irish Life Dublin Marathon on October the 30th. I thank you sincerely on behalf of all the people who have got such joy from it, and such fitness and health as well. You've done a wonderful job, and long may you and it continue. Thanks very much, Jim. Thank you.
Thanks, Liam.